Is Zenshu, MAPPA's new anime original story worth watching? Does this fantasy isekai have a unique story with interesting characters and good world building? Do I absolutely freaking hate this annoying unicorn? Find out in this video. When I watched the first episode of Zenshu, I instantly got very confused when Natsuko died approximately 5 minutes 56 seconds into the first episode. I had only watched the first minute of the trailer where it seemed like a drama about the toils of creating anime, which is a bit ironic considering the many reports of the bad workplace environment of MAPPA. So in case you didn't know, this is an isekai. Zenshu follows the lead director of an anime movie who's an extreme perfectionist. The deadlines are coming up, the production company may go out of business if this new movie isn't a hit, and Natsuko demands she do most of the work by herself. Then she chokes on her lunch and dies. There was a failed fantasy movie that had a huge impact on Natsuko growing up. It was a tragic story where most of the characters died and the hero became very depressed. While general audiences didn't like it, Natsuko watched it over and over again, to the point where she had the entire thing memorized. So of course, this is the world she is isekai'd into. While the premise isn't bad, it has one major flaw. While Natsuko has seen the movie, we haven't. So it feels like details of it are made up to progress the plot whenever it is convenient. Overall, it just feels like an inside joke you're not a part of. If they really wanted to go crazy with this concept, they should have made the first episode an hour or hour and a half special that is just the movie. Then we could have the same experience as the main character, instead of being told what we need to know as we go. Nevertheless, the premise isn't bad. Being stuck in a fantasy world that you know ends darkly and tragically. Well, that is until our overpowered isekai protagonist comes to destroy all that pesky tension and easily defeats all the enemies. Natsuko is given the ability to create anything she draws, which solves any problems the heroes of the world may have. As she changes the fate of this world, which happens in the first episode, it just becomes a mess. And not like consequences of her actions kind of mess, but like the entire story structure falls apart. Each episode seems to be leading one way and then quickly pivots to a different direction, before taking care of that loose end. And then it feels like nothing changed at all. The tone is all over the place. It's really chill for the most part, despite this being like the last stand of humanity against the evil monsters trying to destroy them. It tries to be comedic, but it's not very funny. It turns into relationship drama at points, but that doesn't really lead anywhere, and the fantasy epic aspect of the story just gets lost in the middle of everything else. I don't know what to think of this. It's very weird. The world building is not great, Natsuko's powers and the rules attached to them are extremely vague, and I've just explained how this story is a mess. But there is one redeeming aspect to this show. If you like the characters and their interactions, you'll like the show. They're all pretty unique, but I have a hard time caring about any of them. The unicorn I find mostly annoying, the elf is so distant and has a truly awful character arc portrayed through one episode that made me actively dislike her, but apart from them, I don't mind the rest of the cast. Natsuko herself is hard to connect to, I don't really get what her deal is, and her character arc has only made her more unlikable as the story continues. There's also a romance plotline that has gone nowhere so far. There's also a fan service character who turns into a joke character, but that's about all. I don't really have a lot positive to say about this show. I didn't really like it, but I don't hate it either. I am interested enough to see where it goes because it's been so all over the place, I have no idea where it is leading. Some of the character interactions have been alright, some of the animation has been pretty cool, but it's very inconsistent. I can't really recommend watching this. Right now I'd say it's a C tier show and it's a 5. If you enjoyed this show, let me know what you liked about it in the comments. And check out my review of Sakamoto Days here on the end screen for an anime I do think is worth watching. That's all from me, Jamyo.